Hello, welcome back to me reading stories, uh, 20,000 Leagues Under Sea, episode 3, part 3 slash finale. I'm RobotGz. Last time I read more of 20,000 Leagues Under Sea, and in this part, hopefully I will finish it. So after I finish reading the story, I'll say like why this is finale. So we left on chapter 15, trapped beneath the ice. Alright, okay. We now had to make plans for leaving, since March 21st was the beginning of the long poor night. It would be another 6 months before the sun shone here again. The Nala's air tanks were filled and it slowly sank beneath the surface. We began heading north again. At 3 o'clock the next morning, a violent blow threw me out of bed. The ship was leaning on its side, but I managed to crawl into the lounge. Then Ned and Conceal were there. We sat stunned for several minutes until Captain Nemo came rushing inside a tunnel of ice. Have we had an accident? I asked. Yes, monsieur. An accident of nature. It seems that an enormous iceberg has turned over. As its base rose up, it trapped us between that base and the underside of the ice on the surface. We are in a kind of ice tunnel, Professor, but the Nautilus can still get out by moving forward or backward. Just then, the propeller started up and we were underway, traveling forward at high speed. But 2 hours later, the Nautilus collided with something ahead. It was a wall of ice. There was not enough room in the tunnel to turn around. So the engines were reversed, and we began moving backward. For 3 hours, the Nautilus sped south through the ice tunnel. But at 8 a.m., a second collision took place. Captain Nemo entered the lounge in his diving suit and explained, "En route to the Oh yeah, that's right. The game froze. That's right. Never mind. I was like, wait, did the media player froze? I certainly hope not. Okay. Oh right. Our route to the south is now blocked too. The iceberg has closed off every opening. Every opening is closed off. But we shall not die without trying everything possible first. We still have a 3-day supply of air, and we shall breathe it as we try cutting ourselves out through the walls of ice." Ned then spoke up. Captain Nemo, I'm as good with a pickaxe as I am with a harpoon." "Thank you, Mr. Land," said the captain. We shall need everyone's help. My men and I have just been checking the thickness of the ice outside. Above us it is 1,300 feet thick. On the sides 50 feet thick. And below us 30 feet thick. Therefore we shall start digging a trench on the floor of the ice off to the side of the ship. Ned left with the captain to join the first group at work. After 2 hours, Conceal and I joined the second group. We alternated shifts for the next 12 hours, but we were able to remove only 3 feet of ice. And chopping away at the ice. If work continued at this rate, we would need 5 nights and 4 days to cut through the ice. But we only had 2 days of air left in the reservoirs. And then, even if we managed to dig ourselves free, who knew how long it would be until we could surface and get fresh air? By the next day, the ice overhead and on the sides of the tunnel had frozen thicker. How long would it be before the walls and ceiling came together and crushed us? The air on board was becoming more and more difficult to breathe. Whatever was in the tanks had to be saved for the men working out on the ice. But even then, but even that supply would be empty the day after tomorrow. Hour after hour, we chopped away at the ice. 13 feet remained, then 10, then 6. But the air reservoirs were now almost empty. The 2 days were up. The men on the ship were overcome with a terrible weariness from the lack of fresh air. Dizzy from the lack of air. Some were unconscious and a few were close to death. Still 3 feet of ice remained. The work was going too slowly for us to survive. Then Captain Nemo decided to try crushing the last 3 feet of ice with the ship itself. Even though he was breathing as little as air as we were, he still managed to think, plan, and act. He raised the Nautilus off the ice where it had been resting and moved it on over above the trench. Water was pumping into the reservoirs to increase the ship's weight. Slowly, the Nautilus began to sink. We waited and listened and prayed. I was dizzy from the lack of air, but I soon heard the ice tremble and crack beneath us. "We're going through," Conseil murmured in my ear. I was too weak to answer, but I squeezed his hand to let him know I heard. Breaking through the ice. As soon as we were free in the water, the ship started traveling north at a terrifying speed. But how long would it take to reach the other side of the great ice barrier where we could surface? Another day? I would be dead before then. My face was purple, my lips were blue, and my mind was no longer able to think. I couldn't hear or see anything. As the hours passed, I felt death approaching. "Hold on, monsieur," whispered Conseil. "We are below an ice field now, and the captain is going to try to break through." I felt the ship slant upward and heard the roar of its powerful engines. On the first try, the ice cracked a little. We went back down and struck again at full speed. An opening. Finally, with one last effort, we rushed up and broke through to the surface. The hatch sprang open, and pure air came flooding into the Nautilus. Underwater cliffs of the Bahama Islands. Chapter 16: The Attack of the Squid. Once we were safely in the waters of the Atlantic, everyone seemed to relax. That is, everyone except Captain Nemo. In the months that had passed since our escape from the great ice barrier, he had left me totally alone in my studies and no longer came into the lounge to explain the wonders of the sea. Towards the end of April, we were cruising below the surface of the Atlantic near the Bahama Islands. Through the windows, I saw the huge underwater cliffs that formed the base of this island group. These cliffs were hollowed out with deep caves where monstrous squid made their homes. Giant squid. It's the Kraken! Suddenly, the Nautilus stopped. A blow made the ship tremble violently. Ned, Conseil, and I rushed to the window, then froze. There, before our eyes, wriggled a terrible monster, a giant squid 20 feet long. The 8 long snake-like tentacles coming out of its head were twisting about furiously. Suckers on the inside of each tentacle had fastened themselves on the window. The monster's mouth, a horny beak, opened and closed rapidly. Its long body, with a bump in the middle, formed a huge fleshy mass which weighed at least 50,000 pounds. Soon several other squid appeared and swam all around the Nautilus, grinding their beaks against her steel hull. Just then, Captain Nemo entered the lounge and closed the panels. He looked worried. Is there something wrong, Captain? I asked. The squid captures a sailor. Yes, Professor, he said. One of these squid has his horn beak caught in our propeller, and we can't move. What can you do? I asked. Surface the ship and wipe them out, but our bullets will have no effect on their soft flesh, so we have to fight them hand to hand with axes. And with a harpoon, Captain, added Ned. We left the lounge and joined the crew in the companionway. Captain Nemo gave everyone an axe, and then he popped the hatch. Within seconds, a long tentacle slid down the opening toward us. Captain Nemo raised his axe and cut the wriggling arm in two. As we made our way up the ladder, 2 other tentacles grabbed the sailor in front of the captain and pulled him out. Captain Nemo let out a cry and rushed up the ladder. The poor man was being clutched by the tentacles and waved about in the air. He was choking, but he managed to shout, "Help! Help!" Captain Nemo attacks the squid. I was stunned to hear these words scream out in French. Oh well. I did have a fellow countryman on board after all. And in his moment of death, he had forgotten the strange speech he had used on board. He had gasped his dying words in his native language. But the poor man was done for. Nothing could save him from such a powerful grip. Nevertheless, Captain Nemo hurled himself at the squid, and, with repeated blows of his axe, cut off 7 of its tentacles. But just as he rushed at the 8th, the one crushing the sailor, the squid let out a spray of black ink. We were all blinded by it for several moments. When the spray cleared, the squid had disappeared, and with it the unfortunate sailor. Meanwhile, we were attacking the rest of the squid as they climbed up the sides of the ship. A squid for a shark. We chopped the tentacles all around us, amid sprays of blood and black ink. Ned kept plunging his harpoon into the sea-green eyes of these monsters, but suddenly he was knocked over by a tentacle from behind. The squid's huge mouth opened over Ned. and was about to cut him in two when Captain Nemo raced over and buried his axe between the squid's enormous jaws. Ned jumped up and plunged his harpoon deep into the creature's triple heart. "I owed you this," Captain Nemo called to Ned. "A squid for a shark." Ned bowed his head without answering. By now, all the wounded or dead squid had disappeared into the sea. Captain Nemo, covered with ink and blood, stood on the platform looking at the sea, which had swallowed up one of his men. Tears ran down his cheeks. What are you doing here? Chapter 17, Captain Nemo's Revenge. After the bloody battle with the squid, I came to realize that I could no longer stay on board the Nautilus. But I had to try one last time to see if Captain Nemo would let us leave willingly. I found him in his cabin, bent over his work, table writing. He frowned as I entered. "What are you doing here?" he demanded. "I'm busy working." "Monsieur," I said calmly, I have to talk to you about something which cannot wait." "Monsieur Aronnax, what I am doing cannot wait either. This book I am writing contains all my studies on the sea." Get out of here. Okay. "With God's help, it will not die with me. The book is signed with my real name and tells the story of my life and work. It will be sealed in a small, unsealable box and will be thrown into the sea by the last man to survive on the Nautilus when her end comes." Captain, I agree that your studies must not be lost, but who knows where the currents will take the box? Perhaps I could keep this book for you if you gave us our freedom." "Monsieur Aronnax," cried the captain, "I will say now what I said 7 months ago. Whoever enters the Nautilus never leaves it. Now get out of here and never speak to me of this again." When I reported the captain's words to my two friends, we all agreed that escape was now urgent. We were only a few miles off the coast of New York. What better chance could... Oh, no, okay. Sorry, hold on. The better chance could we hope for. They're firing at us. So, for a second there, I thought there was like, so there's this like, there's this steamboat / boat on the water, and like, at first I thought, could that be a train? Is that Puffing Tom here? Let me show you. It's like it's right there. But no, I was like, oh no, wait, no, that's a boat / steamboat. Anyways, but just before dark, a hurricane hit New York. Rain was beating down in torrents, and winds were gusting up to 100 miles per hour. It would be suicide to risk an escape in a sea with 50-foot high waves. The storm drove us far out into the North Atlantic. We were all in a state of despair as the Nautilus headed east across the ocean. By June 1st, we were 300 miles from the coast of Ireland. Cruising on the surface, I was in the lounge reading when I heard a dull explosion outside the ship. I rushed up on deck and found Ned and Conseil already there. "They're firing at us," cried Ned. as he pointed at a ship 6 miles away. It looks like a warship, and I hope it comes and sinks this cursed Nautilus. And there's just then another shell hit the water. Why are they firing at us? I cried. We didn't attack them. Then suddenly everything became clear. Commander Farragut's report. Commander Farragut probably had reported to the world that the Narwhal was really a submarine, and warships were now searching every ocean for this terrible ship. I finally had to admit that Captain Nemo was really using the Nautilus for revenge. He was attacking the ships of the world regardless of their country. And that night he locked us in a cell and drugged us. It was probably to keep us from seeing an attack. And the Sari now buried in the coral cemetery was probably wounded in a collision. There was no other explanation. Part of Captain Nemo's mysterious life was becoming clear, but so much was still unexplained. Perhaps we can signal them, said Ned. Then maybe they'll understand we're friends. He took out his handkerchief to wave in the air. A fist of iron. But no sooner had he unfolded it than his arm was struck by a fist of iron. "You fool!" cried Ned. "Do you want me to nail you to the spur of the Nautilus before we ram that ship? Go below immediately, all of you." Captain, I protested, "are you really going to attack this ship?" Captain Nemo's face was twisted with rage as he replied, "Monsieur, I'm going to sink it. They have attacked me, but my attack will be even more terrible. They shall all die. They are the killers, and I am the victim. Because of them, I lost everything I ever loved. My country, my wife, my children, my father, my mother. I saw them all die. Everything I hate is there. Now shut your mouth and go below." We raced down to my cabin. Once the door was closed, I gasped. "We must escape. He's gone mad. We must try to warn that ship." Like a needle going through a cloth. Then let us prepare to leave as soon as it is dark, said Ned. Night came, but our opportunity to escape did not. Captain Nemo stayed on deck until dawn. When the warship cannons began firing again, then Captain Nemo gave the order to dive. I realized that he was planning to ram the warship from below, where it was not protected by heavy steel plates. My friends, I said to Ned and Conseil, this terrible day of June 2nd is beginning. May God save us. And the Nautilus' speed increased to the point where its entire hull trembled. Suddenly I felt a blow, then heard the steel spur pushing into something with scraping sounds. The Nautilus had gone right through the hull of the warship, like a nail going through a piece of cloth. I couldn't stand it any longer. I rushed into the lounge, half out of my mind. Captain Nemo was standing there, silently gazing out of the window. Captain Nemo's family. The huge warship was sinking below the surface. and the Nautilus was following it down to watch its death struggle. Sailors were climbing up the mast trying to save themselves, but their bodies finally floating free as the sea pulled them down. I was frozen with horror and unable to catch my breath. When the ship hit the ocean floor, Captain Nemo turned away. He opened the door to his cabin and went inside. Through the open door, I saw him go over to a portrait of a young woman and two small children. He gazed at it for several minutes, then clutched it to his chest. With the portrait still in his hands, he sank to his knees and burst into deep sobs. No idea where they are. Chapter 18, Escape. Wait. Okay. The Nautilus continued on its way as if nothing had happened, but my feelings of horror towards Captain Nemo stayed with me. No matter how much he had suffered at the hands of his fellow men, he had no right to punish them the way he had. I no longer sought the captain at all. We stayed underwater for the next 20 days, surfacing only to renew our air supply. Our position was no longer marked on the map, so I had no idea where we were. One morning, I awoke to find Ned leaning over me. One last look. In a low voice, he said, our chance has come. I went up on deck when we surfaced and made out some land about 20 miles east. Meet us at the dinghy at 10 tonight. I'll be there, Ned, I replied. The rest of that day seemed to last forever. I didn't dare leave my cabin for fear of being Captain Nemo and having him see the horror I felt for him. But at 7 o'clock, I went to the lounge to take one last look at the wonders of nature and art collected there. I felt a stab of regret that these treasures would one day be destroyed at the bottom of the sea, along with the man who had gathered them. Then I returned to my cabin and dressed in my thick sea clothes. I gathered up my notes and tucked them carefully inside my jacket. My heart was beating fast, and I was unable to control my nerves. Remembering, I tried to stretch out my bed and relax. All the events of the past 10 months on board the Nautilus passed before my eyes. The disappearance of the Abraham Lincoln, the underwater hunting expeditions, running aground at Torres Strait, the attack by the cannibals of New Guinea, the Coral Cemetery, the tunnel beneath Suez, the diver and the gold bars at Crete, the treasure at Vigo Bay, the lost continent of Atlantis, the Great Ice Barrier, the South Pole, the digging out of the ice tunnel, the fight with the squid, and the attack on the warship, watching it sink with all hands. Before I knew it, it was almost 10 o'clock. I opened my door and crept down the gangway towards the lounge. Soft, sad music was coming from the organ. Captain Nemo was in there, and I had to pass him to get out. I crept across the darkened room without being noticed. Just as I reached the door to The library. Captain Nemo struck one resounding chord on the organ and cried out in the darkness the last words I ever heard from him. Almighty God, enough, enough! It's it's also on the picture on the right of the page. Well, sometimes it's not. Well, yeah, sometimes it's on the left, but that's usually towards like a start of another chapter. Was he finally regretting? I didn't have time to think now. I rushed through the library into the companionway and up into the dinghy. Ned and Conseil bolted the hatches behind me. Then, just as Ned started to loosen the bolts, holding the dinghy to the submarine, we heard voices talking excitedly inside the Nautilus. Had someone discovered our escape? Were they looking for us? No. One word that the crew kept repeating over and over told me was causing all the excitement. The Maelstrom! The Maelstrom! The Maelstrom? Could a more frightening word reach the ears of any sailor? The Maelstrom, off the coast of Norway, was the most violent whirlpool in the world. Caught in the Maelstrom. No ship had ever escaped its raging current. Was the Nautilus about to be dragged down into its depths just as we were escaping? Had the Nautilus been caught up in the Maelstrom by accident, or was this some plan of Captain Nemo's? I had no more time to think. The Nautilus started spinning around and around in smaller and smaller circles, and the dinghy, still attached to her hull, was carried along with her at an incredible speed. We were terrified. Our blood stopped circulating. Our nerves were numb. We were at death's door. We have to screw the bolts back down, gasped Ned. It's our only chance. But before he could finish, we heard a loud crack. The bolts had broken. The dinghy was torn from the ship and thrown into the middle of the whirlpool, like a stone hurled from a slingshot. Saved. My head hit the side of the iron dinghy, and I lost consciousness. What happened that night, how we escaped the whirlpool and survived, neither Ned nor Conseil nor I could never say. When I came to, I was lying in a fisherman's cottage on one of the islands off the coast of Norway. My two friends cheerfully embraced me the moment I opened my eyes. Thus ended the voyage, which took us 60,000 miles, or 20,000 leagues under the sea. Will people believe me? I don't know. But for 10 months, I had traveled under the oceans of the world and gazed at their many wonders. What became of the Nautilus? Did it escape the Maelstrom? Is Captain Nemo still alive? If so, has he finished with his terrible revenge? Will the seas one day wash up the book contain his life story? Will I ever find out his real name? Does Captain Nemo still live? I hope so. I also hope that the Nautilus survived in that terrible whirlpool, where so many other ships were wrecked. If it has, and if Captain Nemo still lives in the ocean, then I hope with all my heart that his hatred for the world has come to an end. I hope that he is peacefully exploring the seas and will one day share his vast scientific knowledge with the whole human race. All right, so that's the end of the story. The 20,000 League Trick of Knowledge. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So it shows the like the full like world map and like the trip. So alright, I don't know like doesn't say where it starts here. But, okay, so like the dot like the sorry like the dotted lines that's like the trip. So I don't so I would say like so the author's fringe. So I would say they started around hereish, right? So yeah, that's like the full map with like the trip. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's interesting story, but like I like honestly like I enjoyed like the movie more. Um, so yeah, that's so that was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Um, so pretty good, pretty good. So uh, um, so this is a finale then. Um, why am I ending this series? Uh, it's it's not that I hate reading stories. It's not because like you know I I've wrote two stories so far and like um I'm working on a third one, but procrastinating on it. So like I don't hate reading stories. I don't. Um, uh, and another factor is like I don't want to rely on save heroes slash villains all the time. I don't you know like uh like with with 20,000 Leagues Under Sea, like I was trying like I can think of I said like at the beginning of like the series when I started reading it like I couldn't think of a video game like well I'm sure there is I didn't like research it before reading it, and that's my bad. Um, uh, there there are plenty of like underwater like video games, but like it's 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 a story about you know going around the world in a submarine with like like somewhat crazy captain. Um, uh, so it's just like I don't know. Um. Uh. Um. What will I be doing in replacement of this? Um. I created the series because like I just needed like a creative outlet, and reading stories is not really a creative outlet for me. I mean, like we're like we're like doing like working on working on uh, character impressions uh like during like story reading. That's kind of like that's kind of an improvement for me, sort of. Um, but like not it's not like it's not like productive uh you know like example drawing like that's creative and like that's productive because like I haven't done that on the channel except for scribble. um so there's that. um like I I don't know if you guys would be interested in like like me like writing stories of uh just me writing stories, just like no gameplay. I don't know if you guys be interested in that. So um plus like well the third story I'm working on, I have to like like write down like on an actual book what I want to put in like the story because it's like it's a novel book um and not like on the computer um because because my first story I typed on the computer. Well, okay, no, wait. My first story I wrote like on a like oh I can't remember what those things were called. It wasn't like a novel book. It was like I can't remember the things you get for like it's a thing you get for school that you write down in for like taking notes in school. um I can't remember the top of my head. I'm sorry. um uh yeah, that was like the like that's where I wrote the story, my first story. And then I I looked over my notes, and like copied it and pasted. I copied it and copied it by typing it out the on my laptop, and then like I posted it on my Facebook page. But and like I haven't posted anything on like Facebook in a really long time. But that's me because I have autism and it's very difficult for me to talk to people. Um, so Um, oh, shoot, what was I going to say? Um, so I'm trying to think what I'll be doing in replacement of this. I'll either be just just having an empty space, like no recording whatsoever, or um um I'll I'll come back to, I'll bring back a series that um I haven't finished yet, because I want to clear it off, so like there's any games that um I'm not like um holding on or haven't finished. Like I want to complete every game that's on there except for Pirate 101, but that's understandable, because like in the future, uh spoilers, um kind of, you you level up your crewmates and their equipment too, and like once they're a high enough level, they start doing like there's like huge shit, epic kick, and then uh like and then the other hit was Giga. I can't say the other one because it's my trigger word. So there's that. That which is why I'm unable to, you know, continue the series, and and it's sad because it it's a good pirate game, even though like um it, even though like it didn't do so well. So um anything else? Well, I suppose I could start reading Lost Algo stories, but like that's a different thing. Like, because like that's Lost Saga series, and it's like right now I'm focused on Pro Wrestler, the Pro Wrestler speed run, because I need to get to level 100, and it's taking a very long time, and I just like I need to focus on that, like right now, just in case like the things go down, things go south for Los Angeles Lunar. I really hope it doesn't, because it's a really good, you know, Los Angeles private server, and you know, uh, um, there and you know the um love has been put into it, because like uh, like one of the custom heroes, for example, uh Plague Doctor, like I like I would want that hero perm if like I were invested in Lost Saga again. So um what else to talk about before ending the video? Ink. Yeah, I think that's it. So, I hope you enjoyed the series. Um, uh, I, I haven't decided what I'll be doing in place of this. Of course, like I said before, I was doing this and in the streaming week I was doing random streams like Mario Maker, Super Mario Maker 2, superheroes slash villains. But I'm gonna have for that one I'm gonna have to record long play since the since last stream was uh, having issues. I I really don't know why the graphics setting was turned low. So I mean you saw it during the gameplay. So um, there's that, and then back about friendship never ends. Um, there's that too. So uh um so for now it's just gonna be an empty slot until I figure out what I want to do uh uh in replacement of this. So that is gonna be it for now. So this is RobotGz. Bye.